Call of Duty multiplayer at one point in time used to be an extremely fun, addictive, and fast-paced shooter that utterly dominated the FPS market. Classics like COD 4 Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 2, and Black Ops 1 and 2 quite literally laid the groundwork for the Call of Duty formula. These games literally made Call of Duty the multiplayer behemoth it is today. They introduced fan-favorite systems to the gameplay loop such as Create a Class, Prestige Mode, Perks, 3-lane maps, and many more. Now, most, if not all, the COD titles that preceded these games followed this exact same formula. But of course, like anything, there are exceptions to this, and COD as a series doesn't exactly have the perfect track record when it comes to innovation. I'm looking at you, Advanced Movement Era. But generally, when you bought and played a Call of Duty title, you pretty much knew what to expect. COD knew what it was and followed the same design philosophy up until Black Ops 4. Things were changed here and there, and they did stray away from the classic COD formula in the name of innovation, however. One of the best examples I could use to support this point is a specialist system that was present in Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, and Black Ops 4. Although it's important to note that even with these changes and innovation, the game still felt like Call of Duty, which at its core was a fast-paced, high-octane arcade shooter. But what if I told you there was one game in particular that really put Call of Duty multiplayer in the dumpster where it still lies today? What if I told you one of the best-selling Call of Duty titles of all time was actually responsible for the demise and downfall of Call of Duty multiplayer as a whole? Now, before all the new age COD fanboys get their panties in a bunch, I need to make one thing perfectly clear. Modern Warfare 2019 isn't a bad game, it's just a bad Call of Duty game. As I stated in the intro, COD has always been a fast-paced arcade shooter, and Modern Warfare 2019 was literally the polar opposite of an arcade shooter. Modern Warfare 2019 took the COD formula and did the exact opposite of what made the older games fun to play. From a gameplay perspective, for instance, they took the skill gap and completely killed it. And before you say it, no, just because the game has movement doesn't mean there was a skill gap. Modern Warfare 2019 is a game that literally made it impossible to move. Being able to slide cancel around and bunny hop means absolutely nothing when your enemies can hear you coming from a mile away with the absolutely horrendously loud footsteps. Slide canceling means nothing when the time to kill is so damn fast that you die in a single frame every single gunfight. Slide canceling means nothing when all the maps have 500 different angles, windows, doors, and camping spots. Hell, even the minimap in this game was completely changed for no reason. If it wasn't bad enough that unsuppressed fire didn't show up on the minimap, let's not forget that Incompetence Ward actually wanted no minimap in this game and instead wanted players to use the god-awful compass they included in this game. Every single design decision that was made in this game was just change for the sake of change. A perfect example of this is the gunsmith system in Modern Warfare 2019. On paper, this sounded like a far superior system to the Pick 10 and regular Create a Class we've seen in previous Call of Duty titles, but in practice, it just ended up being an extremely confusing mess that unfortunately is still present in Call of Duty titles today in 2024. Let's just use the optics for example. In Modern Warfare 2019, there is a grand total of 33 optics in this game. All this does is just add a bunch of filler content to the game, confuse the hell out of any potential players that are picking up this game, and most importantly, gives everybody a false illusion that there's actually more content in the game than there actually is. Anybody who's played Call of Duty knows that people are gonna find that meta class setup and run the same attachments. There's no point in having all this other shit, and I know there's gonna be people that are like, well, why are you complaining about content? And perhaps I am nitpicking here. I don't know. I don't like the system, and I really think we should go back to a classic Create a Class or a Pick 10 system. Anyways, most people will say this was actually good for the game because it changed up the COD formula and made the game feel fresh, but most of the players saying this came from slower games like Rainbow Six Siege in my experience. That's where the biggest issue with Modern Warfare 2019 lies. It tried to be more of a tactical game when COD has never been a tactical game to begin with. Imagine if a game like Valorant, for example, decided it didn't want to be a tac shooter anymore and decided to add sprinting, full auto weapons, weapons that had zero recoil and added bunny hopping and slide canceling. I could pretty much guarantee most of their player base would be rioting. No pun intended. Anyways, the bad design decisions didn't stop there though. The classic prestige mode was removed in favor of a god-awful seasonal prestige mode with a seasonal level cap, leaving players with jack diddly shit to grind for once they hit the cap for the season. Modern Warfare 2019 also introduced disbanding lobbies and strict EOMM that are present in modern titles today. And if you don't believe me and think perhaps I just have a massive skill issue, that's fine. Just remember that the developers of Modern Warfare 2019 actually said this in a now infamous Game Informer interview regarding their design philosophy for Modern Warfare 2019.
SFL videos on YouTube says Black Ops 4 was pretty much you destroying another team or being destroyed by another team. Is the balanced matchmaking a priority for Modern Warfare?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of the things we really want to do with this game is we want to get new players in the game, and we want them to kind of like, we don't want them to just get punched in the mouth over and over again until they leave. We want a healthy ecosystem. We want a lot of players in and having fun, and that's a big focus for us. It's a big focus for us in weapon design. It's a big focus for us in level design. Our weapons are a bit more lethal than they were in the Black Ops, the recent more Black Ops, and that helps a lower skilled player get a kill when they otherwise wouldn't, have some success, and then feel like now there's a desire to get better and to get another kill. Our maps are a little bit more porous, and we want those players to have a safe place to take their time, to learn how to turn and move and then shoot, put those pieces together, and then they see someone and be like, oh, okay, now I can do this. So yeah, it's a big focus for us.
Now, of course, it's unfair to lay all the blame on Modern Warfare 2019 as a whole, and I understand that I'm in the minority when I say MW19 is the worst multiplayer COD in the entire franchise. That is mainly due to the fact that anyone, good or bad, could pick up MW19 and do relatively well. The game is quite literally made for casuals, and most of the COD community are casual players. So, of course, if you were once bad at the game and Modern Warfare 19 comes around and you're now magically decent at the game, of course, the vast majority of people are going to think that this game is good. But honestly, one of the biggest things I see that is often overlooked by the community is the effect that Warzone had on the multiplayer experience for Call of Duty as a whole. Warzone brought BR to Call of Duty. It soon took off due to it being free to play, and of course, the greedy executives over at Activision Blizzard soon learned that they had their next cash cow on their hands. They saw how much money BR made them, and guess what became the top priority for Activision and Co. After Modern Warfare 2019, we saw a steep decline in graphical quality. We also saw a steep decline in the polish these full-priced multiplayer games had. Just take a look at every single update they released for Call of Duty post Modern Warfare 2019. Every update breaks the game in some way, and the customers that have spent $70 are basically playing a half-baked, unfinished mess until the end of the life cycle. If you're asking me, this has everything to do with where Activision's priorities are right now. Call of Duty multiplayer these days takes a backseat to Warzone, and a healthy amount of the community buys the multiplayer with the sole purpose of using it as a means to level up their weapons for Warzone. It's a sad but unfortunate reality, and as long as Warzone is popular, I fear we will never get a finished and polished COD multiplayer title ever again. However, the final nail in the coffin, if you ask me, was the addition of crossplay to Call of Duty. As a PC player, it pains me to say this due to the fact that Call of Duty finally became relevant again post Modern Warfare 2019 due to the player counts being larger. But the huge elephant in the room is the fact that PC players introduced a huge cheating epidemic to Call of Duty. If you pair this with the fact that Ricochet is basically useless, you have a huge clusterfuck of cheating scumbags running rampant in Call of Duty. Sure, you could argue that back in the day, console players were able to cheat with J-tagged Xboxes and modded controllers, but if you're asking me, those weren't quite as bad as the blatant aimbots and wall hacks and other forms of cheating we see in modern Call of Duty. Either way, do you think Call of Duty multiplayer will ever return to its former glory, or do you think that the best days of COD are behind us and never coming back? If you ask me, the golden era is long gone, and the multiplayer side of Call of Duty is slowly becoming an unrecognizable form of what it once was. In reality, Call of Duty right now is targeting a totally different audience, the new gens of Call of Duty, and all of us that that are left here, you know, in the dark, the OGs, the Call of Duty fans that like the old games, we're not getting a good experience anymore. And the new gens, this is all they know. So in reality, none of this is going to get changed. Warzone is the top priority, and multiplayer is never going to be going back to its former glory. Let me know how you guys feel in the comment section below. Do you think that Call of Duty will be coming back? Do you think that Black Ops 6 perhaps might change or save Call of Duty? And if you liked today's video, make sure to like the video, subscribe, share this video with your friends, and turn that notification bell on so you never miss when I upload a video. And I catch everybody in the next one. Peace.
I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be